5, 6, 7, 8.
Fight.
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 Fight. Fight. Fight. Fight. Fight. We're going to fight.
Fight. Fight. Fight. Fight. Fight. Fight. Like the Shot
Fight.
song.
Yes. Tara and I are about to have a fight.
Let's fight. Let's do it. Here we go.
Let's fight.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Gilmore to Say with Tara and Haley. I'm Tara. This is Haley. Hi, Haley.
Hi, Tara. We're
Ready to fight
today. Let's fight.
We were literally talking about fighting potentially for our live show before.
Yeah, on stage. Fist fighting.
Like, do you think people would come to our live show in LA if they knew we were going to fight each other?
Gilmore to Say fight live. Tara v. Haley.
Yeah. Gilmore to fight live.
Gil fight to say? No.
I want to know what people think we should fight about. If we were to fight.
With our fists.
Oh, no, I don't want to fight you with my fists.
Oh, okay. Well, what should we verbally fight about?
Yeah, what should we verbally fight about? Tell us. Because
Yeah,
we might do
leave
it.
it. Put it in the comments of our most recent Instagram. We should
It's
fight
true.
about.
Do it.
Oh my God. Well, before we get into fights today, because we will not be fighting. We will be talking about
No,
the
we're talking
Gilmores
about
fighting.
Yes, the characters that have fought on this show, which ones we love, which ones
that,
we don't.
Though. Just like an episode where we just like have things we fight about. That would be so fun. It'd be different because we don't normally have a. We only tussled.
Fight.
We almost tussled once in that Luke and Jess episode.
I know, which is so funny because you remember it and I don't.
Really? I'm gonna have to go back and let you listen to it because you were like, agree to disagree.
Yeah, I think I remember that part. That I was like, we have to
close.
agree to disagree. Was it because was it the argument that Jess came back for not Rory, but your argument was that he came back for Rory. I was saying that he came back for the book. Yeah,
which we can. Well, we should revisit that sometime. We'll
Maybe
just have
that's
like a
what we
fight
fight about in
where
LA.
we fight. We just fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we revisit our tense moments.
Ooh, that could actually be really fun.
That could be really fun. But yeah, we do have a live show coming up August 11th in Los Angeles. And we've been trying to figure out what we want to do because we have our second and third segments set, locked, loaded, ready to go. The third one, of course, being with Sheila R. Lawrence, which we were so excited about. But the first one, we've been going back and forth on what we should do. And we have been thinking about fighting.
Yeah. I presented an idea before we got on today that I think if it's able to be executed, could be so fun. But it's going to be fun no matter what. We're so excited. We have so many fun things planned. Like, this is going to be such an exciting event. And also, we're revealing our rebrand, which we're starting to work on right now. Which will be very fun.
Maybe it'll be fun. Maybe you'll hate it.
Or maybe everybody will hate it. Maybe we'll hate it. Yeah, who's to say?
Maybe we'll see.
Instead of Gilmore to Say, it's going to be called Who's to Say?
Who's to say? Not us.
Gil,
not
who's
anymore.
To say?
Perfect. Before we get into our fights today, to the Gilmore fighting, rather, not us. I think we're going to have agreements in today's episode.
I think we will. Maybe.
But I think it was at this point last week or 2 weeks ago, I was on a Taylor Swift podcast called The Girls Who Live in Delusion.
Yes.
Super fun. I've always wanted to talk about Taylor Swift for 2 hours straight, which is what we did.
Perfect.
But there was something that we talked about on there that I immediately was like, oh my God, I have to find out Tara's situation here. And that is that we were talking about this song called I Hate It Here off of the anthology. And the line is, I hate it here, so I will go to secret gardens in my mind. People need a key to get to. The only one is mine. And I was talking about how much I love that song. But I found out that Serena and Emily don't really relate to it because they don't have a mind's eye, which is funny because they're both artists, but they don't see anything. They don't visualize anything in their head. Like when you say picture it, Emily said that like the first however many years of her life, she thought that was a metaphor. She didn't know people could picture things in their mind.
Oh.
Like her mind's eye is blank.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I had heard of that before, but it was just so interesting to me that they didn't have one because Serena's a photographer. Emily is an artist. She actually did our, the artwork, the cheersing cups, and she does our gazebos.
Yeah, Emily Kelly has been huge and incremental in our design world. We love her.
Yeah,
Big love for Emily Kelly.
She doesn't see anything in her mind. She doesn't visualize it. So that's why I was telling you that she loves us as clients so much because we're so specific about what we want. Like change this, change this, change this. And she loves it because she can't visualize it in her mind, which blew my mind.
I have had conversations with people who have said that to me. And I can't think specifically of who it was, But I have definitely had those conversations before where I'm like, wait, so you don't just picture it in your mind?
Yeah, I was
like,
wondering.
no.
I wanted to know what yours was.
Oh,
'cause we've
yeah.
never
No,
talked about that before.
I 1000% picture things in my mind. You know what I picture often? Months of the year and numbers. I have like a number line in my head. And sometimes I wish that I could actually put it to paper, like what I see when I think of numbers. It's usually numbers 1 through 100. And for the months of the year, I also visualize them very specifically.
Yeah.
Is that weird? I don't know. I thought everybody operated the same way.
No, they don't see anything. And I thought that was so interesting as artists, but I also wanted to know for you because like the way that you have talked before about thinking, just we talk a lot about things and stuff.
We talk a lot, period.
Yeah. End of sentence. I knew that you probably did, but I just wanted to check because it was just such an interesting thought that you can go so long knowing someone and just don't know what is going inside their head. Because I told her, I was like, my ADHD is really bad because sometimes someone will be talking to me and I'll just be taken into my mind and just like, I'll come back out and I'll be like, I could have been gone in my mind for an hour or for 2 seconds. And either way, I don't know. I just got John in there and
that's been happening to me a lot recently. My ADHD has been taking me away from conversations and I'll just like go somewhere else in my mind. And I'm like, oh,
like I can't hear anything outside of it. And then I'll come back. It happens when we're recording because I'll like get to a point in like reviewing an episode. I'm like, oh, this is where I disappeared. Nothing went wrong.
That has happened to me before as well. All of a sudden I'll tap back in and be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
How long was I out for?
But yeah, they were saying they don't like to read or like Emily doesn't like to read because she can't visualize it. And I was like, that's so interesting. And then it made me want to know what like all of y'all, like if you can see things, if you can't, like what is going on for you? Just
wow. Yeah. I'd really love to know. I find that fascinating too, because it's so interesting becoming an adult and growing up and having these conversations. Cause I think that you always just assume everybody thinks the same way you do or visualizes the same way you do. Yeah. Why would you think
not even like think the thoughts, but it's like how you actually think your thoughts. Like you're just like, of course, everyone sees things, hears things in their mind. And well, if you're hearing things in your mind, double check that one's definitely you.
Definitely. But yeah, wow. Okay. Interesting. When you said you had a question for me yesterday about this, I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a Taylor Swift question.
Oh,
because
no,
literally
it's not
as you were speaking the lyrics, I had like an idea in my mind.
Yeah, because that's what I said. I was like, when I hear a song, I like see it so clearly. Like I like if it's about 2 people, I see the people, I see what they're wearing. Like I can like the picture unfolds so clearly. Like I could tell you the story of what is happening to them. But they were like, no. I was like, I feel like I'm bragging.
Wow. No, it's just different. Not crazy.
It was just different. Yeah. But it's just interesting that both of them, because Serena's a photographer and Emily is an artist.
Is a visual artist. Yeah.
Wow. So I was like, wow, so interesting.
I know. I found that fascinating.
I just wanted to know yours.
Oh, thank you for asking. But also tell the people where they can find this episode. I know you posted about it on your Instagram.
Yeah. It's The Girls Who Live in Delusion on anywhere. On
anywhere.
Spotify, Amazon, Apple, all of the places. They're on YouTube, so you can watch it. And The Girls Who Live in Delusion is also their Instagram. So if you want to go listen to me talk about Taylor Swift for 2 hours, have at it in the appropriate setting.
Perfect.
Please.
I'm sure they will. Well, speaking of podcasts, this podcast today
we
is
have
about
one.
Fights. We do. It's about fights on Gilmore Girls. And what's so funny is that we have been trying to do this topic
for so long.
Long time.
I thought about this. It was before last summer.
Mm-hmm,
I was
because
like,
we couldn't do the fights because of the strike, which was happening a year ago at this moment.
Yeah.
The first WGA strike was happening. We had Sheila Lawrence on. And so there were a lot of things that were starting to change.
We had our summer planned. And then we were like, after summer, we'll fight. And then, as it turned out, the unions started fighting.
That's true. Did we manifest that?
No. We definitely didn't. We have nothing to do with workers' rights.
But all of this is to say, we have been considering an episode, 2 episodes. This is going to be a 2-parter. For a long time, we've been considering this episode. Yeah. And I'm very excited to get into it with you. So we've decided to go through each season and pick our top 3 fights, maybe like our favorite fights or fights that we feel made a splash in the season that were like completely notorious for the season they're isolated to. And we're going to do our top 3. I have a feeling some of them will align. And then a least fave from each season. So in this episode, we're going to do seasons 1 through 4.
Yes, this was very hard.
This was tough. Hard. Some of these were very easy for me. I mean, like some of them like instantly popped in, but then I was like,
for sure. But then once I started like, I did like first like completely from memory, went through all of them. And then I went through episode by episode and I was like, wait, oh my God, this one. And then I was like, oh, I actually have a couple more least favorite than I realized.
Oh yeah, I have some least faves. Like I have some that where I couldn't decide. But then as we get further and further down the list, I'm really curious to see which ones we align with because as you know, I am not a late seasons watcher. We'll probably know so much more about the later seasons of this series by the time we move through it on Patreon. Yeah. But for now, I feel a little lost in the sauce when it comes to the last two, specifically the season 7 and revival. But we'll get there in the next episode. For now, let's start with my faves, which are the early seasons.
Yes.
And we'll start with season 1.
Yeah.
So I didn't do these in any particular order. I just have 3.
Me neither.
Did you do them in order? Okay. No. I kind of went in chronological order a little bit because it just felt appropriate. The first one I have on my list is Rory's Dance. Lorelai versus Emily.
Same.
That is like peak.
That's one of my favorite sites in the series.
Yeah, totally. Because and we said that when we rewatched it on Patreon. Yeah. That we were like, this is probably one of the most well-structured, well-done fights in this entire series. Lauren and Kelly are phenomenal actresses, but like they feed so well off of each other. It's just so good.
They fight so well, the two of them. They're such good scene partners. But this scene feels so pivotal to the series as a whole because we needed to see this fight. We needed to see how each of them, this is kind of like a baseline for both of them about how they simmer about things. About Lorelai feeling about her past and how she was treated by her parents, and then how Emily feels about how Lorelai feels basically and like all of her actions. And so having that laid out before us, simply marvelous. Like they did so well. It's so heartbreaking. But what's great is that it comes full circle in season 6 about like the lines that they're saying of like, you lost me. And when we come back in season 6, you didn't lose me. It's just like knife to the throat. Amazing. Great.
Totally.
Perfect.
It's also, we talked about this in our Vicious Trollops only Gilmore to consider about the affection that's shared between Lorelai and Emily and how it's very few and far between. They don't really touch ever. And there is a moment of affection for the two of them, between the two of them before this fight, which is so fascinating because those moments are so few and far between. However, their fighting is not few and far between. They always bicker. They always argue. Fights, like out and out fights, are actually, I would say, a little more rare than like just little spats. Yeah. But there is a moment where Lorelai is passed out on the couch because she's in pain and Emily like brushes her hair away from her face. It's very sweet and something we don't see very often from them. So then to be met with this like clash that is so gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's just
contrast.
Great. We love a contrast of conflict. It's really good.
Yes.
So that was the first one I put. The second one that I put was Concert Interruptus, Lorelai versus everyone in that episode. I love the way she fights. I love the way she steps in, swoops in, and just, even though Madeline and Louise are not her they are her responsibility in this moment, but like, she easily could have been like, all right, you guys want to make poor decisions? I'm not going to chase after you. Have a good time. No, she swoops in, saves the day, brings him back. It's great.
Yeah.
Step aside, Skippy.
I didn't even think about that one because I
well, you hate that episode.
I don't hate it. I just really don't like it. Mine was from the pilot, the Lorelai and Rory little spat, if you will.
Oh yeah.
I just
you're gonna throw your life away. He better have a motorcycle.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. Thank you so much. It just feels like it really kicks us off, and I like that both of these fights really set us up for what's happening for the series. I like that immediately we have this like mother-daughter duo who are best friends. If you've never seen this show, now I'm describing it to you. That like we immediately get a fight. We immediately get a fight from them, and like we recognize that they are both very fragile, but like very forgiving of each other. And so like I like that right off the bat. That's like how we're explaining the two of them, that like they can come back until they can't, and they do. Regardless, they always do. But yeah, I really liked that one.
I love that. That was a great choice. Because in the pilot, the first fight that I think of is, interestingly, not between the two of them. It's between like Richard and Lorelai, and then Lorelai and Emily. at the house. And that one just always,
I kind of put that one in with it because like I chose the Lorelai and Rory one because I already had an Emily and Lorelai one from this season. But like I kind of was like pilot in general, like all the fights that occur there. Love.
Yeah, totally. My last one, my third one, is in Kiss and Tell, and it's Taylor versus Luke.
Good.
With all the knickknacks and the fall decor. I just think it sets us up so well for these two townies who are a source of entertainment for us. Like, they are just two different ends of the spectrum, and they're both like, one's a curmudgeon and one is really into the town. And I love it. I love the whole fight. It's a great cold open.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Don't sit on any cold benches. Just like the whole, it's great. I love that one. Mine was from episode 17, which is called The Breakup Part 2, when Luke and Dean.
Oh, so good. Such a great selection.
Something
You're not going in there, buddy. I love it.
I love when they fight. Like something about the two of them, like what an odd little pairing, like fighting in the street. I know it's my fave. So something about them, just like I was like, yeah. Just like ones that bring me joy. It's that one. And Dean's kind of like, what?
Yeah, he's like, I don't know why I can't go inside. Oh my God. It's so good.
You don't know. You really don't know, my dude. But yeah, I love that.
So for real. What was your least fave?
My least favorite, actually, I kind of toggled back and forth between two. And both of them are with Dean.
Okay.
Dean and Rory in Star-Crossed, of course.
Terrible.
Or Dean and Tristan at Rory's dance.
Ooh. Wow. Yeah. Great selections. God, there's so much conflict in this show.
That's what I'm saying. Is like going, like, having to pick a top three, I was like, we're not even scratching the surface of the amount of fights in the show. Like, it's so good. Like, this show is just brawling verbally.
It really is. It really, really is.
In Dean's case, brawling several times physically.
You idiot.
Yeah. But there was something about the Dean and Rory one. I mean, we have talked like ad nauseum about it, but it's just like, I don't like it. There's just, it's me.
Oh, in Star-Crossed?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah. What was your least fave?
My least fave is Lorelai versus Max in Paris is Burning.
Ooh, okay.
I didn't raise my hand, so don't call on me. You know,
I know you hate.
I hate that
line.
episode, and I hate that line, and it just feels so forced. And yeah, not a fan.
Yeah,
that's where we get the NC-17 line. I'm just kind of like, I'm good.
Yeah, I considered that one briefly, but then I remembered Dean.
Yeah, then you really think about Dean, and everything else goes out the window.
Yeah.
But speaking of Dean, let's talk about season 2, because my first fight was classic. There's the rub, Rory versus Dean.
Interesting.
I just think it's very explosive. I don't love what's happening here. And for me, it's like a telltale that I just think Dean is way too possessive, jealous, etc. And I still stand by that. However, I do think that it is one of the best conflicts, like one of the most explosive conflicts in season 2.
Yeah, it's a good one. I didn't put it on my list. It was like in my in my considerations, but it didn't make my list, but it is a good one. My first one that I put was in Teach Me Tonight, Luke v. Lorelai in the street.
1000%. That's my next one. Luke versus Lorelai in the street. Probably the best fight of season 2, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Go to hell. Right back at you.
Oh, that's so good. And just like the way that like Luke is like fighting both for Lorelai and Rory and Jess.
I know.
And Lorelai is just
so
fighting
torn.
Anyone.
Well, I just love what he says to her here. Like, he says something to the effect, I wish I knew the exact line, but like, you know, I care about Rory more than I care about my own self, but I have to go find Jess because he's my responsibility. And if that cuts into your screaming time, well, that's just too damn bad.
It's so good.
And when the two of them fight, like when Scott Patterson fights with anyone, I love it. I love it. I love it.
I love Luke fighting. So many of my top ones are Luke fighting. Like,
I know.
He just fights so well.
He's a really good fighter.
Yeah, way to go, Scott.
Good job, Scott.
Yeah, I just love it. I love that man fighting. He does it so good.
He does.
You know what? Bummer that we never really got a full out Emily and Luke fight.
Ooh, I have something to say about that later, though.
Oh, fun. Can't wait.
My next one is, speaking of Jess Mariano, a Tisket to Tasket, Dean versus Jess. Kind of versus Rory.
Yeah.
It's like the three of them.
Yeah, a little trio fight.
I love it. Them standing there, basket maker, guy who didn't bring enough money.
I need to talk to you.
Need to talk to you.
Which I feel like that's kind of similar to your first one because they're kind of a trio fight in There's the Rub too.
Yeah,
Love
they kind of are. It's true. Like I was considering that because it is very much like the two of them fighting and then Rory also kind of in the background of that, and that causes conflict between her and Dean. But in addition to this conflict, I also really love the conflict between Lane and Mrs. Kim in A Tisket a Tasket when she gets home and she's like, David came by 15 minutes ago. He said that you ran off somewhere. Where were you? You're with a boy. There's no boy. And then she like runs upstairs. She's like, you go upstairs and calm down. Fine. I love it.
I forgot
that
about
is
that
not
one.
coming down. Like they are screaming at each other. It's so good.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because we don't really get a lot of Lane and Mrs. Kim fighting so much as we get Lane maybe being reprimanded for something.
Yeah.
But this is when they're actually like coming to blows.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Oh, good one.
And I love it.
Good selection.
Thank you.
Love that one.
It's just a good fighting episode. Like, so is There's the Rub. You could argue that like, you know, what happens between Lorelai and Emily is also good conflict in There's the Rub. Really?
Number 2. Yeah.
Okay. Love.
I think the thing that I love about that fight is like, it's a kind of the same thing from Maury's Dance as they have a tender moment. They have a fight. That one does not actually resolve.
It also doesn't hold a candle to the fight in season 1 in Rory's Dance, in my opinion. Like it's a lot of, you get a lot of information and you get a lot of context into Emily's sadness about why she like doesn't understand why she and Lorelai can't have the same relationship that she has with Rory. And so I think that there's a lot of insight there into her pain. Yeah. But I just think that the one in season 1 is just so delicious.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Is like that one doesn't have like any resolution. It's like Richard ends up in the hospital, so like they just come together, like a true family is fighting, and then something brings them back together. But this one, they have like a tender moment, a fight, and then another tender moment, which is rare.
A bonding
moment. So
like,
yeah, like that stealing of the robe and sharing the lipstick, but like the fight in the middle is just so like. It's so expected, but everything else was going relatively okay that it becomes unexpected, which is what I love so much about it.
We should, in tandem to this, like obviously we have episodes planned, but we should at some point do a resolutions episode.
I was thinking about that last night as I was like, how do...
2 girls, 1 brain.
Exactly. That's why we can both have the same visualization in our mind, is because we just have one brain.
There it is.
That's what it is. But no, I was thinking about this because I was like, how do we talk about the resolutions to these fights? Because that's what I love about so many of them is the way that they resolve, or that they don't resolve, and that nothing ever comes of them except for more tension amongst them.
Totally.
But this is one of those rare ones where it kind of feels like they had a nice time together.
Yeah, it's true. What is your third one?
My third one is actually another Emily and Lorelai, and it should have been you. Should have been Lorelai.
I mean, that's a great fight.
Yeah.
That one of the fights in that episode is in my least fave, and that's between Christopher and Lorelai in the diner.
Oh, God, I didn't even list that one, but like, ew. I hate that fight.
I hate that fight so much.
Fight.
I hate like
I should have listed that one.
Both of them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
In the fight. Like Lorelai, why she needed to bring that up to Chris, especially in public, odd. And then Chris, the way he reacts to her is also garbage. It's all awful.
Yeah.
It's all pretty bad.
I actually had a couple of least from this season, admittedly, but like the Chris and Lorelai one was the finale. When it's like he's kind of like having like a half-hearted fight with her because like he's not going to fight for her. She's just being let down and she's getting very like upset about it. So it's like more of like a volatile conversation than it is a fight. I was going to say,
I don't know that I consider that one a fight.
But it's like,
especially
she's
considering
mad at him.
Season 3. She is upset with him.
So it's like she's fighting with him and he is just being like a limp fish as he normally is. But I think that the thing I hate about that, it should have been Lorelai fight between the two of them, is it just feels so dumb. Like the question she asks is dumb and the way that he responds is equally dumb. Like,
yeah, it's all dumb.
I don't like it. I put the Richard and Emily in presenting Lorelai Gilmore. I hate that one.
Oh, yeah, not a great
Like,
fight.
Richard is being a baby.
He's being such an ass. He really is.
Like, you're doing this in public? Go home.
Shut up. Go home.
Yeah. Go home. And then the
Go
last
home,
one
Rich.
I had was Jess and Dean and Bracebridge, because it should have just been a brawl. They should have just fought. I think that would have helped them so much if they would have just fought it out.
Oh yeah, if
and then they
would
would
have
have
just
been
punched
BFFs.
each other.
Yeah.
You think they would have been besties?
Of course. No doubt about it. They would have been skipping, holding hands, going to Luke's together.
Afterwards, yeah.
They would have just forgotten about Rory, and they would have been friends. They would have gone to college. They would have roomed together, and they'd have been best friends forever. If only
Good
they
for
would
you.
have physically fought.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah.
So moving on to season 3. The first one that I put was in They Shoot Gilmores, Don't They? Rory versus Dean.
So good.
It's just so good.
I put 2 for that episode, was like the runaround with Jackson and Suki.
Oh, so good. The fight between Jackson, Suki, Lorelai, and Luke, like throwing his opinion in there. Yeah. So good.
So like kind of like the running bit of that one, but also
I also love the whole conflict with they don't actually fight, but with Lorelai and Stanley and his wife, who thinks that she got into a face-altering car crash and she's doing her physical. Hilarious.
Exactly. No, but I feel like that whole little episode has a trio of fights that's just perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the first one that I put was episode 20. Say Goodnight, Gracie, Luke and Jess. Then you have to go. I am not going back to school.
That was my third one.
So good.
Just because it was in order.
That's one of the best ones.
It's honestly one of the best fights between the two of them. It is the best fight between the two of them.
I think in the same way that Emily and Lauren have amazing fight chemistry, so do Scott and Milo.
Oh my God.
So good.
So good.
Such good scene partners.
Brett and I were watching A Family Matter, I think, when he comes back. And like when he comes back and his car is being towed to the diner.
That's Nagamati.
Oh, that's Nagamati.
Because A Family Matter is where he's sleeping in the car at the end.
Yeah, that's it. A Family Matter. Because Coop says, you know.
Oh, yeah. I thought you'd want to deal with this.
Because it's a family matter.
Blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah. Thanks, Coop. Yeah. When the two of them, we were watching this episode recently, and when the two of them, and I think I spoke to this on Patreon, are fighting, like just arguing in the street, I just was like, I just was watching them with such like admiration, because I was like, these two are so fucking good at fighting with each other. It's so gorgeous to watch. Like I could watch this all day. And I do. That's why I have a podcast about it.
That is actually what I do all day long.
See, but before we get to season 4, let's finish off season 3. I just think that the two of them, that was my last one that I had. I have one in the middle, but Luke versus Jess, anything I will usually throw in there. So I almost in season 2 was it in Nick and Norris and Nancy when he's playing the music and Luke takes a cigarette out of his mouth and he's like, the patch, the pill, the whatever. And he's like, you will return Pierpont to his home.
Yeah. Because that's more of a talking to. Because
it is. It's less. Yeah. It's less of a fight. Yeah. But my last one, which is really honestly, it should be my first one. No, Luke versus Jess is really, really good. Haunted Leg. Christopher
has to be.
And Laura. Christopher versus everyone.
I know, I was supposed to say it's like Christopher v. Rory, Lorelai, Emily at various points. Because I guess it's more so Lorelai and Rory and Emily saves the day.
It really is. But I also love Jess and Rory in the market.
Wait, I wrote that one down too.
It's so good. Haunted Leg as a whole is a fucking great episode.
Such a good episode.
It's a banner episode. So I couldn't really decide between the two, but I think that like Chris and Lorelai screaming at each other in, the foyer is just peak.
Go be someone else's dad.
Rory coming in, Emily coming in. It's so good. It's really good.
Yeah. What is your... Oh, I did have honorary.
Yeah, tell me your honorable mention. Oh, wait, I had an honorable mention for season 2.
Oh, what was it?
It was Luke versus Lorelai in like Mother Like Daughter, because she's upset that she thinks he's going to date Nina.
Oh,
and they have that fight in Luke's diner.
That is
and she's
so
just like,
you.
That is so you. You don't, that's not how you get back. That's not the quickest way back to Hartford. Everybody knows this, Luke. Yeah. Everybody except for you. I just think it's so funny. Sorry, didn't mean to backtrack there, but
Love it. I'm glad we got to that one. But my 3 honorary are Jess v. Swan, of course. Paris v. Rory fencing.
I also wrote that down.
And then Dave versus Young Chu, who accidentally get into a physical fight.
Don't touch me, Dave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to touch you.
I'm trying.
I mean, Jess and Dean fighting in that episode in Keg Max is very good. It's very well choreographed. It's a long time coming. But I don't know. It's an honorable mention for me.
Yeah.
It's an honorable mention.
Okay. Yeah.
For me, personally.
Yeah.
And the only reason that I didn't put I Solemnly Swear in there as one of the top, because I think it's also well choreographed, is because I don't like the conflict that ensues leading up to that. I hate the Francie conflict. Everybody knows this.
I put like every time Francie comes up, they're not really fighting, but like it just...
No, bad conflict, in my opinion, for season 3.
But my least favorite was Jess and Rory in Swan Song.
That's what I put. That was my least fave. Swan Song, Rory versus Jess and Emily's. It's so, I hate it. I hate when Jess goes, now I've seen it all. I'm like, she's reading a book. She's reading a book.
She's reading a book on the wall.
You love books.
You love watching her read books.
Yeah.
Why is it now that it's a still image?
Weird conflict, and like the way that he could have just been honest with her. It was so weird, man. That was weird conflict.
It was weird.
I didn't like it. It was a weird fight, and I think it really is a turning point between them.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I put another one, which is the Fire versus the Independence Inn.
Oh, yeah. We don't like that.
It was a bad fight,
That was really sad.
Yeah. But luckily the firefighters
did their job.
Enough of it. Yeah.
That's true. So moving on to season 4, the first one that I put was Ted Koppel's Big Night Out, Emily and Richard.
Good. Love it. I will say there was not a lot of like outright fighting in 4, I feel like.
No,
there wasn't.
Fights. This one was actually hard for me because there wasn't a lot of outright fighting. I put Emily and Richard in Ted Koppel's Big Night Out because I really loved the way that Emily handled it.
Yeah.
I love that she's like making the Bloody Marys and just turns to him and goes, how come Penelon Lott knows this about Lorelai? And he's like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, he doesn't even know he's in a fight until
he has no idea. I just think that the way she handles it is so good that it's
so direct,
top tier.
So vicious, but like not even vicious. It's like, just tell me the truth.
Yeah. She's so direct. I love it.
Yeah.
What was your first one?
My first one was Nag Hammadi, when Luke and Jess are fighting in the hallway about Jess telling Luke that his expectations are too high. Because while there's not a lot of fighting in 4, I feel like the fights between the two of them are so essential. Because I didn't want to make all of mine them fighting, because it's like when Luke comes to Jess's apartment and confronts him about the wedding. That one's really good too. But like I kind of looped all those together because it's kind of like just them having it out. They needed to get to that point so that he could like thank him at the end of the season. But yeah, I just something about that one in the hallway about Luke trying to be pals with him, about like joking about his Etch-a-Sketch, TJ's Etch-a-Sketch, and like, what are we going to do about this guy? And like Jess is like, nothing. Like, you people let you down because you have too high expectations. And I love it. I love what it does to Luke too.
I do too. I would pair that one with what I was talking about earlier with Luke and Jess in A Family Matter.
Yeah.
Them arguing outside, you know, like, so I guess things didn't work out with your dad, buddy. And like, where are you staying? You're not staying here. It's just, it's so good. Their arguing is so good. And my next one that I had was in Luke Can See Her Face, TJ versus Jess. And it's because I think it's absolutely hilarious. Yeah. But I think the reason I really like it is because of what it leads to between Jess and Luke. It's really that the fight leads to the resolution of conflict between the two of them, of this chapter of their lives where they're so angry at each other that they bicker gorgeously. But they're like standing on opposite sides of the room together in the same space, like on opposite ends, only to like come to the center and meet in the middle because Jess finally meets him halfway. You know?
No, I totally agree. That's also just like hilarious. It's like mud wrestling, and then
oh my god,
TJ and Jess fighting.
So funny after so like great. The debate about a lap.
Yeah,
a lap is an illusion.
Fair. And that's honestly, so fair, TJ. Like, wow. Big thinker, that one.
Yeah.
Another one I had is from episode 11, in The Clamor and the Clangor, Lorelai v. Luke, and then Lorelai and Luke v. Bells.
I love Lorelai and Luke versus the Bells.
Yeah. Because, like, there's just something about the two of them having that fight of, like, I don't even know your phone number. And then he comes and, like, angrily shovels her driveway and is, like, yelling at her. Like, that's my shovel. I lent it to you 2 years ago. Or something like that. Yeah. There's something about that I love it. Because at the end of the season, you guys are going to kiss.
You're going to kiss. Kiss, 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 kiss.
Exactly.
My last one that I had was The Reigning Lorelai, Emily versus Dead Tricks.
See, I didn't know how to classify that one because, like, Richard is having a breakdown and they never actually fight. I mean,
so is Emily. That. Well, no, they never do.
That's the thing is, like, so much of what happens between them, like, even in Ted Koppel, it's, like, so subtle, them fighting. We never actually outright see them fighting. Because there is that scene, but I think it's in season 3 where they're fighting on the stairs and then Lorelai claps. Like, yay! I forget which one I forget when that is. But
I thought that was season 2 presenting Lorelai Gilmore.
Okay, that's when that was. But yeah, it's like we never actually see them in season 4, like having that fight that they need to have. And so I thought, like, I was like Reigning Lorelai because Emily's having a breakdown, but I was like, she's not fighting with Richard, and I was like, I don't know who to put her fighting against. It's Dead Tricks.
It's Dead Tricks.
It's Pennell and Lott.
It's Pennell and Lott, it's Dead Tricks, but it's also Richard. And, like, she's not actually taking it out on him.
She doesn't have an opponent in the fight.
No, it's just her.
She's fighting everyone. Mentally with
Which also, like, Scene in a Mall is also a really prime example of that.
Yeah, fair.
You know?
Yes. I had kind of 2 more because I was like, oh, tick, 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 boom. So many fights in that. There aren't. It's just the boom.
It's just the boom. And I was going to put that as well, but, like, I don't know. I don't care enough about Jason and his dad. I really don't.
Same. But the one that I did put was Raincoats and Recipes, Lorelai and Rory after she discovers Dean and Rory.
Yeah. It's a big one. It's a big one. One that we, like, get even more of in the beginning of season 5.
Yeah.
I didn't write it down.
Just because I
don't like it, but it is top tier. Like or dislike, it is one of the top fights of the season into the next season. Can't be argued.
We don't have a ton of them yelling at each other. And that one.
Totally. Her being like, I hate you for ruining this for me. Huge.
Like, whoa.
I know. Crazy.
Big whoa. But Big whoa. Had to include it. Speaking of ones you don't like, which ones?
I had 2.
Me
Rory versus Asher. Hated that conflict.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Oh, that one was weird.
So weird and so uncalled for.
And as much as, like, Asher deserves to be fought with for dating a 19-year-old girl at 60, Rory did it in a weird way. And it was, like, in a derogatory towards a girl who was not involved.
No, not at all. And on that topic of body shaming women, Rory versus the ballerina.
Yeah, Die Jerk. That was the one that I put. Like, it just, like, oh my God. Like, I think that's one of the worst ones in the whole series. That it's like, what?
It's just so uncomfy. And I don't like it at all.
Yeah. It does remind me because I don't know if the episode's come out yet, but we were on Beyond the OC talking to the 2 of them. And one of the things that came up is, like, how many things there are that just, like, wouldn't fly today, like, if it was on TV. And I feel like that's one of them. I hope that's one of them because, like, that's, like, always what I think of whenever anyone is, like, mentioning, like, the problematic nature of some of the things said on the show. I'm like, oh, Die Jerk.
Yeah.
Just like that one as a whole. Die Jerk itself.
Yeah.
Die Jerk. Die Jerk.
Die Jerk. Yeah, totally.
But the one that I put next, not liking, was, I think it's in Girls in Bikinis, but it's the fight with Luke and Nicole.
Oh, yeah.
Just, like, the pointless bickering between the 2 of them. I was going to say,
it's just because we don't really get any context there.
Yeah.
What were they fighting about? Why are they all of a sudden fighting? We were meant to care about this relationship, question mark? I don't know, but we don't.
I don't.
Like, they got back together, things seemed fine, then all of a sudden they're fighting, and all of a sudden he's wearing somebody else's socks. Like, it just doesn't add up.
No, it really doesn't, because, like, I think it's in that episode because it's later that he like fights that guy's truck. But it just doesn't make any sense because nothing like built up to it. The only thing is like now they're getting divorced and that's that. But it just feels so strange, so useless in that narrative, like in that episode, because I think that was like the only thing we didn't really like about that episode was like this pointless fight between them. So this one is more of like less about like I didn't like it and more of like why is this here? Can cut it.
Totally.
Leave
Yeah.
it on the floor.
Well, either cut it or add to it. Like cut it or give us more reason to care.
Yeah,
give us
add
more of
some
a
meat
build
to
up.
it.
Yeah. I actually think it would have made more sense if they did the I'm not wearing my socks and that's what led to the conflict between the two of them.
Yeah.
I don't know, something where it's like, yeah, all of a sudden Nicole's not happy and she's seeing someone else. Luke didn't know this. You know, I don't know. There's so much that they could have done. And I just wish that they had.
Yeah, because something else we were talking about on Beyond the Sea is that like you just like dole it out so slowly that like then they had never heard the concept of binge watching a TV show.
Of course.
So there was like no real like retrospective like, oh, someone's going to watch this all at once and maybe it's not going to make sense then.
Definitely. They didn't know. No one knew. We didn't know.
Yeah. And now we do.
But now we do. Yeah, that was conflict that I didn't totally love, but of course needed to happen in order for them to break up, in order for Luke and Lorelai to have the opportunity to get together. So we support it. We just wish it was executed differently.
Yeah, I don't support it.
Okay.
I wish it was executed differently.
Okay. Good to know.
Just wanted to have a little fight there.
Yeah, just a little
fight.
little tussle.
Okay, to put you on the spot here, can you come up with a top 3 from your top 3 of all 4 seasons you've just listed?
Can I come up with a top 3 from these 4 seasons?
That's what I said.
Just making sure. I would say Rory's dance, Lorelai versus Emily.
Yes, on my list as well, has to be.
Haunted Leg, Christopher versus everyone.
Christopher v. World.
And Say Goodnight, Gracie, Luke and Jess.
Oh, good. Those are good.
I don't know. I have an honorable mention with Teach Me Tonight, Lorelai versus Luke.
That's a good one. You can do 4.
Thank you.
You know, there's 4 seasons. You can have top 4, even if they're not from each of the seasons.
I just feel like they're so good.
Yeah.
They're so good. What are yours?
Rory's dance, Lorelai and Emily has to be because like top from the series, like top fave from the whole series, definitely. I was going to say the Haunted Leg one.
I think I'm going to move that to number 4. I'm going to move that to
Yeah.
number 4.
Yeah, because I have to say Goodnight, Gracie.
It's
Luke
so
and
good.
Jess. It's so good. Like I think that's number 2 for me. Wow, I think we actually have all the same ones because
I think so too.
next I was going to say Teach Me Tonight because like the two of them, just knowing where they go, like it has to be. It has to be. And then I would put Chris v. Everyone.
Yeah.
4th.
Yeah, that would be number 4 for me as well.
Yeah. Do you have an honorable mention that you want to like toss in there? You don't have to.
Well, I guess it would be.
That one's the honorable mention. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Weird.
honorable mention for me.
Interesting that we had the same ones. Because
I don't know if we will for the next episode. I don't know if we will for 5 through 7 plus Revival.
Yeah.
Because you know the season 7 specifically much more intimately than I do. So
Maybe not season 7. I actually have I might have made up my own rules for season 7.
Okay.
Because like when we were talking about this yesterday, we were going to just do the top 3 faves. And you're like, why don't we do a least fave? And I was like, what does that mean? Like you don't like it or you wish it wasn't included or what? And you were like, make your own rules. And then when I got to season 7, I was like, I'm going to make my own rules.
I'm just
even
generally
more.
going to make my own rules.
This one's just up to me now. And I'll just see what she thinks when we get there.
And we'll have more to say on that in the next episode.